So I've been using Wahid for over 4 years, and as a finance professional who's a chartered accountant, as well as involved in fintech and qualified in Islamic finance, there's a lot I have to say about the app. Specifically, I'm going to cover what Wahid offers, is it Sharia compliant, how to use the app, and what my overall opinion of Wahid actually is, with section 3 covering something which I rarely hear about when people cover Wahid as well as Islamic investing. So make sure you stick around specifically for that part. Now, when it comes to Islamic investing, Wahid is pretty much the number one platform right now in terms of marketing. And recently, its marketing team have been going into overdrive. They've opened up a London physical branch. They've teamed up with global sports stars. They've brought up legal practices, expanded into property, and recently received massive funding from the world's largest company. But how are they when it comes to using them as an investing platform for everyday users like you and me? I want to break down a review of Wahid Invest and share my unbiased personal experiences to give you everything you need to know to make a decision if Wahid is right for you. Now, I understand there's so many shady investing products out there, and there's an even larger number of suspicious Islamic investing products out there, each promising you that they're both Islamic and that you can expect amazing returns from them. And if you unfortunately get involved with them and get burned, it puts you off investing forever. With Muslims amongst the poorest group in society, getting investing right is so important. So as I mentioned previously, Wahid is offering quite a lot of different products out there, but the main product is their everyday stock market investing, which is open to people like you and me. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on this video. Now, investing in the stock market is one of the best tried and tested methods of creating generational wealth. And yes, whilst investing can mean your capital can go down as well as up, the historical data shows that if you ignore the daily and monthly fluctuations, statistically, you're bound to emerge in a very healthy position. Yet, even when we know this, we often don't get involved because investing and the terminology associated with it is often seen in a black box, too complicated to understand. And what Wahid does is a great job at demystifying all of this. The user interface is also simple, and one of the best beginner-friendly aspects of this is that there's only a limited selection of investments out there which are all also automated. And so that low decision-making, automation, the limited selection of investments that they offer is, in my opinion, why Wahid is probably one of the best Islamic investing platforms out there for beginners. The second part of why Wahid is good for beginners is the type of investments they offer. As a beginner, you're probably worried about losing all your money, and don't worry, even as an experienced investor, I've got the same worries. And that's why Wahid predominantly offers index funds as investments, which in terms of all of the different types of investments out there, it's probably one of the best investment types available to everyday people like you and me. So index funds are a basket of companies selected by an investment manager, and the company selected will depend on the point of the index. So you can have an index which only focuses on Asian companies. You can have one which focuses on small American tech companies. The index offered by Wahid focuses generally on providing you with companies which are Sharia compliant and have high growth potential. And so with Wahid focusing on giving you indexes as opposed to individual stocks, you're not going to have to worry about one individual company that could go bankrupt because it gives you a little bit of every company, meaning even if there is a downfall in one of the companies which are associated with the index, it's not going to rock up your whole investment. Now, what exactly I mean by beginner-friendly investments and a simple user interface, I'm going to cover that very shortly, because before you even download the app, there's an important question that you need to ask. Is Wahid Sharia compliant, as well as if investing in the stock market is allowed in Islam? First thing to know is making profit is allowed in Islam as long as there's an element of risk. And that early disclaimer where your capital can go up and down is a perfect explanation of risk that is permissible in Islam. Now, of course, you can say gambling is also risky, so what's the difference here? Well, the type of risk associated with gambling, what's called halal, is impermissible because it's excessive and there's nothing at stake in terms of effort nor any tangible benefits for the economy. By investing in the stock market, what you're essentially doing is becoming a part owner in a business, and with your capital, the business is able to then perform more of its services for the economy. And so it's a legitimate form of generating income in Islam. Now, of course, not every industry that exists benefits the economy, and these industries are actually impermissible to be involved in. That's also the best part of Wahid. You don't need to do the due diligence in terms of what a company does. Wahid strips out any of the companies that are operating in these impermissible industries. But diving a little deeper, this permissibility aspect, there's two parts. One is the industry screening, which we just mentioned, and the other is the financial screening. So Wahid follows the AOFI principles when it comes to selecting if the financials of a company tie in line with Islamic principles. I've already made a video on the criteria for financials and what they are. I'm going to leave a link to that above me, but I'm happy to say that they use these principles as it's the most accepted and commonly used criteria for performing financial screenings of companies. But the point I want to make here is that hard part of Islamic investing, which is identifying what is and isn't allowed, is already done for you. Okay, so far I've explained that the investments are already pre-screened, but who is actually deciding this? And that is actually a really important question. So Wahid has a Sharia compliant board made up of Islamic scholars, and this board's sole responsibility is to review the investments to make sure that they follow the AOFI principles, and the main scholars of the Sharia review board can be seen on the website. So they're pretty open in terms of who and how they make sure that the principles of Islamic finance are followed. So after you filled in your basic details such as personal and tax information, depending on the country you're based in, you'll get a range of products available to you. And that's because each country has its own specific products and regulations that Wahid has to adhere to. I am going to be dropping a referral link in the description box below, which you can use to give your investments a little boost. And it also gives me a small referral fee. So feel free to sign up with that link if Wahid feels right for you. But before you begin your investing journey, Wahid will ask you for your risk appetite. This is basically how much risk are you willing to take. Of course, this is up to each individual, but the general guidance from finance professionals is that the younger you are, the more risk you can take. This is because at a younger age, even if there's a downturn in the economy, you've got plenty of time for your investments to recover. Remember, investing is about the long term. I'm talking at an absolute minimum 5 years. If you're wanting to invest and then take your money out, say after 1 or 2 years, then investing is probably not the right option for you. And whilst past performances isn't an indicator of future performance, you can see here from the historical data what returns you could have expected depending on your risk profile, with an increase in aggressiveness increasing your long-term returns, but also carries a higher risk. My personal investing journey would look something like this. Age below 30, I'd go very aggressive. Then 30 to 45, I'd switch to aggressive. Then 45 plus, I'd switch to moderate. And at 55 plus, I'm going to be thinking more about those conservative profiles. This is because the older I get, the less volatility I want. You see, at that age, I'll be looking to retire, meaning my main income source is going to soon disappear. And so I'll need my investments to become a regular source of income. And so you can probably understand at that stage, I don't want high volatility in my investments. I don't want to be seeing 10% movements up and down every year, because I want to make sure I can use my investments to budget and plan in advance. Next, after confirming your risk appetite, you don't need to suddenly think, should I invest in Tesla, Google, gold, or if I put in $1,000, how much should I allocate to each investment? Wahid does all of that for you. Each risk appetite has its own predefined allocation of investments. So all you have to do is invest whatever you want every month in Wahid, and they'll do the rest for you. Simple. Now, as a chartered accountant, I do like to go into the details. The main index fund that you'll be investing with Wahid is the HSBC Islamic Index Fund. And as I said before, an index fund is just generally a group of companies. So what group of companies are in the HSBC Islamic Index Funds? In other words, which ones are you going to be investing in? So you can see in the HSBC Index Fund, it's generally got all of the big companies out there. They do change every so often, but generally they'll be staying the same. And it's good to know that these big companies are being invested in, as in recent years, this is where the largest growth in the stock market has been seen. There are some other indexes that Wahid offers and invests your money in, but this is going to be the main one that the majority of most people will be invested in. And lastly, this section, which is a very, very important topic, but people fail to normally mention this, is that zakat is payable on stocks. Now, depending on your country, you might have a tax-free investing account where the government can't touch your profits, but that doesn't make it exempt from zakat. So the actual calculation of zakat on investments is something which I'll probably do in another video. But I just want to say that Wahid actually calculates your zakat for you and sends you a figure just before Ramadan every year, which is great, as you can then make your zakat payments during the month of Ramadan. Overall, I'm positively happy with Wahid. Yes, the market for Islamic investing apps isn't as developed as conventional ones, and so there's not a lot to compare it to. And if I did compare it to the conventional investing platforms such as Trading 212, Free Trade, or Robinhood, it's definitely not as developed as them, but it's also not trying to be like them. It's targeting a group of people that are new to investing and are also hesitant about if investing conforms to their religious principles. And so that's why Wahid are also a big believer in education. They've held numerous Islamic investing events to educate Muslims and, of course, to get people to sign up to their apps. But still, it's a very positive initiative that they've undertaken. However, I will say that the fees are expensive. If you're familiar with investing fees, any amount greater than 0.7% is very high. And it might not seem like a lot, but after 5 to 10 years, that amount will become a large figure. And that's something I didn't want to hide from my viewers. But the great thing about Wahid is that they're also evolving. They've entered the property market, so you can also invest in that asset class with them. They're involved in offering pensions. And they're also involved in trying to make sure that the Islamic finance principles considers ethical and human rights behavior, particularly when it comes to company selections and indexes, which surprisingly isn't currently a criteria for Islamic finance investing rules. All in all, I like Wahid. If I was starting investing from scratch, I'd be really happy that there is an Islamic investing platform such as Wahid that gives me that possibility. And like I said earlier, it's always that permissibility aspects which stops a lot of people getting involved. If you're actually interested in learning how Islamic finance rules and fatwas are made, I've already made a video on that topic, which I'll leave next to me. So go check that out, and I'll see you all in the next video.